Most of us live with our eyes fixed on things that are still very far away. We hope to finish the book, to save enough money, to move to another country, to find the right person, to begin again in some more generous version of life. These hopes give shape to our days, but they also quietly remove us from them. We are always leaning toward a future that has not yet arrived, as if the present were merely a waiting room for the life we truly mean to live. But life sometimes interrupts this long-range way of hoping. A person has a terrible accident, and after weeks between life and death, they return home with broken bones, bruises, headaches, and no clear idea of when or whether they will work again. Another person is old, still mentally alive, but slow, aching, and uncertain on their feet. Yesterday they managed a little gardening. Today, perhaps, they may go to the shops. A new parent comes home after a frightening birth, a sick child, sleepless nights, medicine, crying, and exhaustion. There is no grand future to manage in such moments. There is only the question of whether today can be endured, and perhaps even touched by a little grace. We say because nothing larger can honestly be said. We are taking it one day at a time. This phrase can sound modest, even defeated, but it contains a hidden wisdom. It reminds us that hope, which we normally treat as a noble force, can also become a subtle torment. Hope stretches the mind forward, and with it comes impatience. We want healing to be complete, love to be repaired, grief to be over, the work to be finished, the self to become whole. But the soul rarely moves at the speed of desire. Some forms of recovery, creation, and transformation cannot be conquered by intensity. They require a quieter loyalty, a willingness to remain with the small task that belongs to the present hour. To take life one day at a time is not to give up on the future. It is to stop demanding that the future prove itself before we can feel any peace. It is to admit that our will has limited power over years, but perhaps some power over this morning, this conversation, this page, this breath. We may not be able to guarantee happiness, success, love, or even health. But by nightfall, if there has been no new disaster, if one kind sentence has been spoken, if a meal has been eaten, if a few lines have been written, if the rain has stopped for a while, then something has been preserved. This is a difficult lesson for the ambitious part of us. At 22, we may feel insulted by the idea that a cloud, a flower, a duck on a pond, or a patch of afternoon light could matter very much. We want larger things: romantic love, recognition, money, freedom, justice, a life that feels undeniably meaningful. And we are not wrong to want them, but with time, many of our great hopes are wounded by reality. Relationships reveal their complications. Careers fail to match the dreams we placed upon them. The world changes slowly, often painfully slowly. We discover not only the foolishness of others, but our own confusion, vanity, fear, selfishness, and strangeness. Then the small things begin to change in meaning. Natural beauty is no longer a distraction from destiny. It becomes a resting place within disappointment. A flower is no longer just a flower. It is a brief permission to stop accusing life of not being enough. A cloud moving across the sky, a bird landing on a fence, a tree shaking in the wind may not solve anything. But they can interrupt the tyranny of our own anxious narration. They can return us for a moment to a world that does not ask us to justify our existence. This is why Van Gogh's irises are so moving. They are not merely paintings of flowers. They were made by a man who had suffered a terrible collapse, who had entered an asylum, who had known the edge of madness and despair. And yet, after lying in darkness, he began to look again. He noticed roots, blossoms, leaves, caterpillars, and the purple bloom of irises. In these ordinary things he found not an escape from suffering, but a reason to remain alive inside it. The flower became a symbol of survival. Beauty became not decoration, but medicine. Perhaps this is the quiet religion of taking life one day at a time. It asks us to build an altar not only to great victories, but to small continuities. To the day when no one leaves. To the morning when the pain is slightly less. To the hour when the child finally sleeps. To the page that gets written. To the apology that does not fix everything, but softens something. To the walk taken slowly. To the fact that, despite everything, we are still here. Of course, it is natural to want the whole life. We do not want to limp, we want to run. We do not want mere patience, we want passion. We do not want fragments of peace, we want redemption. But perhaps sanity begins when we stop despising the fragment because it is not the whole. A single day is not a small thing when one has truly understood how uncertain existence is. It is the only piece of time ever actually entrusted to us. And so, beneath the apparent modesty of the phrase, there is a profound reversal. We are not being asked to abandon hope, but to bring hope closer to the ground. Not to place it only in the distant completion of a life, but in the fragile mercy of the day already in our hands. Perhaps the future is too large a country for the heart to inhabit all at once. Perhaps we survive and slowly become ourselves, not by mastering the years ahead, but by learning again and again how to receive this one day without turning away from it.